essay as compared to other papers, you will find it to be a comparatively smaller one on certain account in terms of syllabus content, size and content on certain account with terms and conditions apply. Why I am saying, because you see, you have to be very seriously preparing both the papers. Nevertheless, paper 1 and paper 2, if you want to score good, because every marks counts, as Ashish says. 10 marks difference might bring about a difference of your selection or out of the selection, or a rank, almost 100 ranks, or 50, 60, 70, depending. That might be huge difference. So everything, paper 1, paper 2, you should be preparing really well. To invest your time, prepare it nicely. But one thing that I could say, that this is such a paper, if you are preparing for only paper 1, you have prepared only paper 1. Administrative thinkers, administrative thought, as technically the paper 1 is referred. You have prepared for the paper 1 nicely, you have not studied paper 2, but you very thoroughly prepared for your general studies paper. All the 4 papers you studied very nicely, very sincerely you studied, and you went for appearing the exam. Not only because paper 1 you have prepared, and paper 2 you have not prepared at all, and you will not be leaving a single question in your exam hall, provided you have prepared all your 4 papers very nicely. That is one of the biggest strength of this paper, because I believe this paper contributes, this optional paper contributes directly as well as indirectly to your success, because this paper will release a lot of time for your preparation in other areas. If you are sincerely doing it, initially you prepared it very nicely, and after the prelims, if you have done your job nicely beforehand, after the prelims, I believe a student who have actually done it nicely will require hardly 15-20 days to actually cover it. This paper will help you enormously, in the sense it can make you available plenty of time for your general studies paper. Essay 1 should prepare really nice, because see, you study so much for, let's say, GS paper 1 or paper 2, and you spend, because see, I am diverting from my core area, public administration, but somehow since all of you have been referring to that, I would say invest your time everywhere, because you might be devoting a hell lot of time for your paper 1 GS, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months, huge time. And at the end of the day, how much score you actually get? And if you compare with essay, see, UPSC is not going to discriminate, okay, this is the GS marks 1 and this is essay mark 1. Value is the same. And essay with a good preparation, I see he's sad about his mark, I got 120. And I am sure he must have devoted not even 1/5 of time he might have devoted for any one paper of the GS. And the GS marks of Ankita, I don't know, she must have scored well. What was her score? Essay. 136, 140 marks. Almost at times, almost 2 GS paper combined, you get that much. So invest your time nicely, and if you have invested your time nicely before, let's say, prelims, and particularly for public administration, if you take up, maybe you will require 15 to 20 days maximum to cover your entire paper 1 nicely. And paper 2, if you go through the syllabus, I would say prepare it almost in a combined way. I generally have a view, and few do not also like that particular approach. I believe paper 1, the preparation is somewhat a closed preparation with limited possibility of any openness. Something like the famous social anthropologist called M.N. Srinivasan, while he is referring to the Indian society and the social mobility, he has referred Indian society as a closed society with limited option of mobility. Now, once you are born to a particular caste, you throughout life belong to that caste. Status is defined through caste. So he told, is a closed. That's with limited option of mobility. In the same way, if you take into account paper 1, your preparation, I believe, is a closed preparation with a very limited option of some openness. Because the theoretical paper, you have to prepare in advance what are the facts, what are the arguments, what are the criticism. Criticism is immensely important, as rightly as referred. Immensely important. Criticism is not negation, criticism is further clarification. If you have prepared nicely the paper 1, the things that is already there, you can easily sail through, provided UPSC is not planning to butch up like it did in 2014 and 15. Because if the one who is conducting the exam, even if I am given the responsibility to frame the questions, I can challenge any of, not the students. You ask any of the, even lecturers or professors, we can challenge, because any academic discipline is so vast. It is simply, you cannot fathom it. Whatever your expertise might be, you cannot fathom it. But as of now, in the last 3 years, things are really good. Questions are very simple, straightforward, easy, workable. Paper 1, I believe, the preparation has to be somewhat closed. Already things are there. You need to go through your concepts. You have to have a clear concept. You have to really have a clarity of concept, theories, and criticisms. You have to read it nicely. So that is the stuff that you have to go through. Paper 2, I believe, this is an open one. When I say open one, I do not mean that it is an uncertain one. No, I will be mistaken if I am understood that way. When I say open one, I simply mean to say, see, in paper 2, there are certain things that is there. If you are going through, let's say, Panchayati Raj, there are certain things which is already there. Each one of you, as such, you are going to study, whether in your general studies or in your public administration. Why I say it is open? Because, see, in Panchayati Raj institutions in India, police in India, or let's say planning commission or planning process or public sector undertakings, see, these are the things that we are going to study, or governor or president, or let's say, as you referred, central secretariat or prime minister's office, or the cabinet. If you take into account these topics, those are there in paper 2. There are certain things which is already there. You need to study that, you need to know that. But there are certain things which you need to keep preparing. You cannot think, okay, I have to prepare. You cannot have a one-shot approach which you can have in paper 1. In paper 2, you cannot take a one-shot approach. Okay, I prepared it, that's all. No, seal it and go about it. No. You read something which is already there in these topics. Rest, what you have to do, my personal opinion, and I have suffered for that, because many of my students did not liked it otherwise, because I have a limitation on that in paper 2, because I believe paper 2 is more bulkier than paper 1. It's much more bulkier than paper 1. Why it is bulkier? Because in each of this topic there are certain things which are already established and many things which is not established. It is evolving. See, the type of cabinet we have today, and possibly we might have henceforth. The role of the governor that we have today, possibly that is going to evolve. The financial management that is there, or the planning process that we are having, so it is evolving. We will have new cases, we will have new studies, you will have new analysis. There will be people, let's say, there will be learned people on Indian polity, on development economics, on, let's say, other areas of, let's say, what we can say, a social aspect, what we can say, sociologists or social anthropologists of immense importance to the number of these areas that we are going to study in our public administration. So they might come out with some book, and in Hindu or otherwise in other paper we have book reviews, and when you go through that book review you will find relating to certain areas, let's say to say maybe a self-help group, they have taken up that, and a very nice analysis he has given. If you read it, just jot it down. Or let's say the policing, a lot of things, let's say Delhi police took up some initiative, some failures, some successes. You always can keep on not adding or subtracting to that. So the preparation for the paper 2, one, you have to first of all study what is already there. Second, you have to keep on studying. Keep on studying is you keep on reading your newspaper, you keep studying few of your magazines almost on a regular basis as you referred. You keep collecting the cases and a few analysis which is something other than the established ones. That is why I say paper 1 is comparatively easy to prepare provided you are able to get into the conceptual aspects nicely. The moment you are not able to get into the conceptual aspect, you might have a different opinion. So the moment you are able to get into the conceptual aspect, paper 1 is going to be a cakewalk. Paper 2 is going to be difficult. Though the impression that you might develop in the due course of time might be contrary. You might develop an impression paper 1 is difficult, paper 2 is easy, but actually what I believe as being a student while I was appearing and during this roughly 1.5 decade of my teaching, this 14th year of my teaching, and I have found for me paper 2 is doing justice to paper 2. I think I would suggest my students that you are relying on the teacher in the coaching class for the paper 2. You may not be satisfied, and I think if the teacher is claiming that paper 2 you rely on me, that will be a deception. Paper 1 we can handle nicely, paper 2 you have to contribute from your side, because I believe it's an open one. Open one is not uncertain, it is also certain, but at the same time it is an evolving dynamic one. So that's what you have to take up. And one more aspect before I conclude, let me pick up because that has been one of the very often asked questions by students. They have asked me, both of them were also put those questions, that the application of paper 1 into paper 2 and paper 2 to paper 1. What I have believed is, this is an amazing thing if you are able to apply, because that simply exhibits your understanding, your clarity. And today, after the change of pattern, if you go by being a student of public administration, I think you should be the best position to understand the expectation of the UPSC. The 10th report of the second Administrative Reform Commission clearly has mentioned, we want student candidates who have head over the shoulder. We do not want candidates who are the byproduct of rote method. They were referring to the coaching institutes, that these people are spoiling the students, and whatever the students are being selected, they do not have a mind of their own, they do not have analytical capacity, they simply have mugged up things and come here. So we don't want this type of candidate. We want candidate whose head over the shoulder means there is a mind that is actually functioning. So moment you are able to apply paper 1 into paper 2, paper 2 into paper 3, that exhibits you have a head over your shoulder. But having said so, see, always we should do what we can do. See, with the type of understanding that you are going to have within this limited period of time, because the syllabus technically says is a graduation level syllabus. Actually, you put the graduation and post-graduation together of the universities, because I am a product of the university having a specialization in public administration. Though by my certificate I am a student of political science of Delhi University, but by specialization I am a student of public administration. I can vouch, you combine the graduation and post-graduation, you will find your syllabus here of UPSC is bulkier than that. And you are going to prepare this within few months, or like so much insistent I should be clearing in the first attempt. I wish all of you do that. But if it happens to be the second or third attempt, if it happens to be the second or third attempt, even after that, after studying for years, you will find that knowledge may not be enough to apply paper 1 into paper 2 and paper 2 into paper 3, not paper 3, paper 2 into paper 1. See, application is good, You will gradually learn that art of application only through understanding. There is no formula. As I believe, there is no formula. There is no 1, 2, 3 formula. Many a time you ask with a lot of curiosity, okay, how to do this. So expecting that there might be some very like he referred, hidden syllabus, the hidden formula through which you can apply mathematical formula, like he might be applying mathematical formulas being a teacher of mathematics. But in public administration, we don't have any mathematical formula where you can actually simply take up and apply that, and then you get paper 1 into paper 2 or paper 2 into paper 3. It's only through understanding that will come. At this stage, I might be able to apply maybe 25%, 30%, not more than that, to be very frank, not more than that. I would always advise my students, whatever is already available, be honest to that, study that nicely, as Ankita has done, repeatedly go through what already is there and write a lot of questions. And in that due course, if you learn some art of application, that is fine. Otherwise, don't be worried. There are people who have got really good score after applying paper 1 into paper 2. There are also good students who have got very good marks without applying paper 1 into paper 2 and paper 2 into paper 1. What I would say is, don't burden yourself with this. Don't, like let's say in cricket. Yesterday I was actually listening to Tendulkar, referring to that India and Australia match. The legend has a lot to say and we have a lot to learn. He was referring to Indian batting and he was saying, he said, I was happy for one thing about the Indian batting. Even if we had wickets, even if the number of balls were less and we had a huge score. So general tendency is go and slog. I hope in India we all understand cricket, the language of cricket. Slog. Slog means aankh band karke bat ghumao bas chauka chhakka, all this. He told that no, our batsmen, they were not slogging. They were actually playing technically cricketing shots and getting the boundaries. That is the strength of our team. To translate into our public administration or what you are, let's say in exam, I would say, don't slog yourself, don't burden yourself, don't force yourself. I have to apply paper 1 into paper 2 or paper 2 into paper 1. No, simply I studied Weber. Okay, Weber. Acha, Modi ji ja rahe hain. Acha, Modi Weber. I was just cynical, I was just jovial, but what I am trying to say, don't force yourself to actually apply paper 1 into paper 2. Let that happen through your understanding. Automatically, certain things will come up. Automatically, the moment your understanding will grow, automatically you will get to know, okay, this thinker I can apply here, this concept I can apply here, this case of paper 2 I can apply here, like he referred. Okay, I took up this thing from this newspaper and why did I take up? Because I knew I can apply in paper 2, I can apply in paper 3, I can apply this also in paper 2. And it's because only thing is studied, understood few things, and in the due course of thing it came up. So don't slog yourself how to apply paper 1 into paper 2, because this has become one of the other in thing in our preparation also, applying paper 1 into paper 2 and paper 2 into paper 3, paper 1. Just study nicely, try to understand your topics. The matter, the material that you are going to study, it itself will be having enough content to give you good marks. And what I have learned, two things I have learned in this last couple of years, as far when I see students scoring good, if I share my experience. Today all of you are there to share their experience, but let me share mine also. Two things I have learned that people getting good scores. One, those who are able to present things nicely. Even if your content is not very rich, your content is okay. That means you have written answer. You have not written a wrong answer. It is a right answer. But even if it is a right answer, its content wise not very rich, but still you have got good marks because you have been able to express, communicate nicely. That I have seen. Second, I have also related to that, I have found students, like let's say this application what you are saying, not necessarily paper 1 into paper 2 or paper 2 into paper 1, but again, if your answer is giving an expression of you being bit relaxed, you are getting really good marks. One example that I was sharing with us is just before the class, let me share it. One of our Maharashtra, he was from Maharashtra, maybe last year, I'm not very sure, maybe 2015 or 2016, he got 92nd rank, he was the first attempt, and he just studied between this prelim. After the prelims he took up his coaching, and he was basically engineer from a very engineer MBA, a lot of you living a lot of lucrative jobs and taking up something like that, and he studied, and in between while I was going through his answers, I noticed that very frequently he was introducing mythology, history, sports, and some events from the current affairs, and I was quite amused. I called him, I told ki acha, so many things, and again very nicely he was putting it. It was not weird, it was not actually irrelevant, very nicely he was introducing and connecting it. I just shared one thing ki, see, I'm happy about this thing because you have this ability to actually bring in these things which otherwise it will be difficult, but be cautious in the charm of introducing these things. Don't allow yourself to introduce anything that is irrelevant, that will be harmful. But one thing I am unhappy about your content, because your content is not actually up to the mark, only few things are there and rest of things are missing. You should enrich your content. So he told me, sir, in this very brief time I am managing my GS and optional and it's very unmanageable, and somehow I am able to remember the concept and the rest yaad hi nahi rehta hai. So that's, I have to fill up the paper, so I have learned a lot of these things that is there in my mind, so I am bringing it. And see, after the written exam, just one day after the exam was over, he was there here and asked me, sir, you draw out a plan, I have to study. I told you, say, only a day for yesterday the exam is over, and you are here, this something not right, you need to relax this much of, because the moment you become over enthusiastic, that things might go extremely haywire. But he was insistent, no sir, actually I may not be allowed by my parents to actually pursue more, so this attempt has to be the last one, you just whatever, because I am not satisfied with the exam, and also around 3 questions as such I have spoiled, rest I am not satisfied, 3 questions I have spoiled, so no way I am going to actually fetch good marks. You just let me have a plan, I will sincerely pursue that, this time I am going to do it and get through it. The mains result was out, he got an interview call, and as I told, he finally was 92nd rank, and the prepared marks were 307. And see, what I am trying to say is, repeatedly I am witnessing this. The students who are presenting their answers nicely, moment you read an answer, if I am reading my answer, if you are reading, if you are being an examiner reading the answer, you should feel comfortable. You should feel, because moment you read few lines, you can understand through the language whether that individual is at ease or it very tensed. Tense means, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, the muscle is very tight or very somewhat relaxed. If you are able to communicate to the examiner that one, you have understood the topic, second, you have that ability to freely negotiate through the answer, I think you are getting really good marks. So read few things, review few things very nicely, repeatedly, write a lot of answers. I would also suggest, as he referred, lot of answers, taking question from anywhere, any coaching, any teacher, any senior. Ultimately success matters. That is the only thing that matters. So write a lot and Don't be bothered about few, I would say, in our civil service, mythical and mythological things, like being the toughest exam, you have to do everything in this world. Moment you go for doing everything in this world, we have a thinker, nice thinker, and subsequently we will be studying. He says that is impossible, you are targeting impossible, so you are only going to attain nothing. So that aspect you leave. You should only try what is manageable, and what is manageable for me, I should do it very nicely. Second thing, before you study certain things, be sure, speak to your teacher, speak to your seniors, speak to your elders, speak to your friends. It is always an immense learning process. Find out what actually you should be studying and what you should not be studying. Before you study, do this exercise very meticulously, so that you do not spoil your very precious time in studying something you should not have studied. Whether it is a textbook, whether it is a notes, whatever that might be, you speak to as many people as you can. Not necessarily those who have got selected, because now they have got selected, they have a lot to share, but also people who have not selected, they will also have a lot to share. Speak to them, all of them. Widen your exposure, widen your interaction. As many teachers you can interact. As many students you can interact, as many friends you can interact. And boil down on what you have to study. Don't read anything that you should not be reading. After that, take up your writing practice like anything. For me, I would say, if I have to say you have to go for this, I would say write from today onwards. Your 60% of time in writing, 40% in reading. Write a lot. I know it's very difficult. Your emotion, your rational calculation, everything will indicate, no, पहले दिमाग बड़ा करता हूँ, इतना बड़ा हो जाए, उसके बाद लिखूँगा. No, that's a natural tendency that's going to bog you down till the end of your exam. That doesn't mean you will not qualify. Even if you have written less, you might qualify. But believe me, I believe, and I have a reasonable basis to believe, if you are able to write a lot, devote a lot of time for writing, you will be a much better place to qualify. You have to be, somehow control your emotion and also your tendency to read more and write less. Rather, you just let it go. Ki acha jo hoga, whatever will happen, let it happen. I will write more but read less. Okay, these are the few things that I wanted to share. And as such, any one of you opting for public administration, all of you opting for public administration, only thing I would want that you should opt this with 100% confidence, not even 99.99%. There should be no iota or element of doubt. If you have any element of doubt, I would suggest you please pick up another optional paper. Don't take public administration with any amount of doubt in your mind. Pick up this optional paper with complete confidence. All the more, nowadays, at this moment, I think it can serve you as one of the most rewarding optional paper. Now that it's scoring well, questions are all right, and all the more the appearance is very low, so UPSC will not be hunting for it. So that's why I have a reasonable basis to understand this is a very safe option to take at this moment. So if you're taking it, take it with complete confidence, absolute confidence, and you have any element of doubt, you please take other optional, some other option paper. Okay? And I always share this thing for that at this stage of my teaching, the thing that actually motivates the most, because I have seen the size of public administration at an unmanageable level, which I still remember from 2007 till 2013. I was just sharing, I used to enter into the class at 6:30 and get back home at 9:30 in the night. And throughout the year after I used to teach maybe in a year roughly around 4,000 students. Still could not accommodate others. I wish I would have taught also those students whom I could not teach. I would like my optional to grow up as popular as like that, not because any emotional aspect. Yes, there is an emotional aspect because I love this optional paper. This is my optional paper, but at the same time, this is an optional paper that does not deserve and did not deserve what it faced in 2014 and 15. Every committee and commission, it had in a way directly or indirectly emphasized that for professionalization of civil service, there is a need for students having public administration. The second Administrative Reform Commission recommended that people opting for civil service should have a degree in public administration, and if they do not have, then there will be institutes of public administration from where they have to get one, because we are in a process of professionalizing the civil service. So this is the paper which is the backbone to the professionalization of civil service. That's why I say this optional paper did not deserve that it faced in 2014 and 15. So that's why not only an emotional reason, but also another reason why I believe this optional paper should again become very popular. And that's why I say all of you, any one of you taking, should take with complete confidence. Only then the scores will be there. And simultaneously, I from my heart thank Ashish, thank Ankita for coming and interacting with all of you, giving a confidence, because when you see successful students, then possibly that confidence soars. And for me it is a different thing, because for me, when your own students come back and share few good words, it is, I cannot share that in words. It is an immense pleasure. It is so sweet that cannot be explained. So for all of you also, whatever I teach, I hope I'm able to teach you all of you nicely, and whatever I'm not able to do share with me, but do come back and may not say thanks if you do not feel like, but at least come back and share something, because for a teacher nothing is more sweeter than his own students coming back and sharing their experience. Thank you both of you for coming and sharing. Thank you all. And if you people want to let's say take their guidance subsequently, you can individually speak to them.